I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Today is Tuesday, September 13, 2022. The time is 5 p.m. This is a meeting of the Greensburg Board of Works, and it's called to order at this time. Please silence all electronic devices to comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that's available on the table in the back of the room. We do need to modify the agenda real quickly. I would like a motion to modify the agenda, add Mark Klosterkamper, first item under new business, to include permission to sign an induct form agreement that we received yesterday.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Jamie.
Second.
Seconded by Rodney. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, first item then, roll call please.
Jamie Kane.
Here.
Rodney King.
Here.
Glenn Tebby. And Karen D. Rust. Here.
I'm also present. I knew Glenn was going to be out of the community tonight, and Chris is on his way. You all should have received a copy of the minutes from August 9th. Take a motion to approve those as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion's made by Jamie, seconded by Rodney. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. You all should have received a copy of
It's canceled.
the August 10th one was canceled. August 17th executive session.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Jamie, seconded by Dee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. And the August 23rd executive session. Take a motion to approve those as presented. Motion's been made by Rodney, seconded by Dee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? Abstained. Okay. There being no old business, we'll move directly to new business. This is where we've added Mark. Mark, the podium is yours.
Good evening, board. We applied, and the Decatur County applied, and each of us were awarded funding for the first two phases of the Park Road reconstruction project. To get that project started, we have to have a consultant under contract for preliminary engineering and right-of-way acquisition services. We went through the selection process. We selected that firm. We've been working on contract, and thankfully we finally have got that contract completed, and we will be the lead agency for both projects. So therefore we're the signatory, and I'm here for you to approve the contract and allow the mayor to sign that agreement once we have this county's okay for their portion thereof.
This also has to go back to the state and
It
then
has to
come
go
back
back
to...
to NDOT then also for their approval and signatures.
I'll approve, I will make the motion that we approve the contract with Mayor Marsh signing off on it, that it is agreeable to him in representing the city.
Yes. Thank you.
Motion's been made by Rodney, second by Dee. Any other discussion? If not, we'll take a motion to approve as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Chief Sturmer, you've got a couple items on here. First one up is the ladder truck project.
Yeah, good evening, board. This first one is kind of illy timed as the transition started today because of the Fall Festival this weekend, but we can stop it if you so choose to. This year, as every year we do breast cancer awareness shirts, this year we did something a little bit different. We are seeking permission or approval to wrap the ladder truck pink. So it says extinguish breast cancer on the side of it. This comes at no cost to the city. I'd publicly like to thank Shirks, Decatur County Memorial Hospital, Napoleon State Bank, and then Green Signs. They all either donated money and or time or in-kind donation for application to put that on, which actually cost the department and the city then no money. The only thing in return, obviously, is that we display that truck and make it available for photo ops for those individuals, as well as display it proudly in the Fall Festival Parade coming up this weekend. So it will be, if approved, it will be finished tomorrow. We wanted to get this done sooner than later because of that, so it is, again, my apologies for the ill timing. However, we can stop it if so. The chevrons in back will not be moved. Those, obviously, all safety devices are in place. Lights will not be covered. Mainly it's the front of the truck, just where it's painted red, and then the sides of the truck as well. Nothing on the back is actually being wrapped. There is no operational deficiencies created because of this either. So the truck will be a fully working fire apparatus. For the month of October, it will just be pink if you so choose.
Questions for the chief on that?
I seen part of it, looked like it was done on the way home, on the way in, I seen it sitting out there.
Yeah, so they were done for the day, so we took it back so we could use it tonight if necessary. So yeah, so it's bright.
Make a motion, we approve.
Motion's been made,
Second.
seconded by Rodney. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you to all those business partners who work with
Absolutely,
everybody to make
yeah.
that happen. It'll be a lot of fun this Saturday.
Second thing is conditional offers of employment. As you know, we have 2 openings and held during executive session interviews for that. Seeking approval and permission to offer conditional offers of employment to applicants number 1 and applicant number 2 for the fire department.
Make the motion that we approve that.
Motion's been made by Jamie, seconded by Dee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed.
Third thing is, and we'll have to get Chris's opinion here too. Several years ago, before I started here, the fire department wrote a reimbursement agreement for new applicants for firefighters, and it's been attached and the memo's been typed and put in your packets, requesting permission to move from a $5,000 contracted amount to an $8,000 contracted amount. During the past 2 years, we have lost 3 employees at the 8th-month time frame. They have all left for other positions or for other various reasons, and so they have had to pay, obviously, those funds back. It was written in the spirit to try to retain employees for at least 3 years while they worked that in-kind amount off. And that money is going towards overtime, training, gear, and any incidentals, uniforms. We pay for their per physical, which is around $1,400 to $1,600. Depending on how young or how old they are, as well as all their pre-employment drug screens, their pre-employment polygraph. We have well over $5,000 invested in them. It was brought, the suggestion was brought to me by our hiring board and our interview board to look at increasing that amount. So I come tonight to you to seek permission to increase that to $8,000, along with changing the wording from the contract starts at the oath of office to the first day of employment, due to the fact that our first day, or our oath of office, is not given until after their 1-year probation. So because they're on probation for 1 year, they do not get the oath of office. They get their badge at their 1 year. But we want this to make sure that it does take effect the first day they're hired. So I'll entertain any questions. Chris, do you have a problem in making these changes without any review or anything like that? It's the same document, just changing an amount.
No, yeah, I have no problem. I mean, I'm good with
I
it.
believe you wrote it.
I think so. It's stellar work.
Well, in that case, I'll make a motion to approve.
Oh, well, all right.
Stellar.
Stellar.
Motion's been made by Jamie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rodney. Any further questions or discussion? If not, would entertain a motion to
Do you have a
approve.
question, Dee?
Do you?
No.
She had a question.
I just needed to finish reading it.
All those in favor of that signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed.
And the last thing is, after a 2-year hiatus, we just want to invite everybody out to October 7th. Will be our fire prevention chili supper. So this was a long-standing tradition in the city of Greensburg. Prior to COVID, during the COVID times, we've actually put a pause on it, and this year we are bringing it back, with the one exception of it won't be paid for. There'll be a free will donation only. It's not required though, and it's just our way to say thank you to the community and to the citizens, and bring back our chili supper, and that'll be Friday evening, October 7th. All right.
Times on
I do not have the times just yet. I believe it's on our bulletin board out front of the station though.
at the fire station.
At the firehouse, yes, on 528 Ireland.
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
Chief McNeely.
Good evening, board. First thing I'm going to bring to you tonight is a presentation for the applicant number one. Since you have sat in the interview, we have kept him engaged in the department through ride-alongs. I've heard back from everybody that he's ridden with. He was well received by every officer that rode with him, and have strong recommendations from everyone. That would have been all of my supervisors plus one.
I'll make the motion and we make the conditional offer of employment to applicant one.
Second.
Motion's been made by Jamie, second by Dee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay.
Thank you. Second is going to be just a brief on the purchase of vehicles. You all should have received a message from me, an email, explaining the way the auto industry is doing police fleet vehicles. They don't give us a whole lot of time from when they open that up. They don't give us a lot of time in telling us how much the vehicles are going to be. So what I have done is I went ahead and moved forward with just signing an agreement with the dealerships. It's not a promise to purchase, it's just a promise for them to order them. And I'll be coming back next month with the pricing and for you guys to approve to move forward from that. The four that I have listed, the 3 SUVs and the 1 passenger car, all would fit within the budget slated to be approved before the end of the year for 2023.
Any other questions for Chief on that?
You talked about a truck. Was that different than, that was outside of these?
Passenger car, did I say truck?
Well, no, I thought you, maybe in an earlier conversation you said truck. But
It could be.
Okay.
Are you offering to buy me a truck?
No, that's not what I, no, do it. We're good, we're moving on.
Okay. The very last thing would be the public safety community night that we held, that we're holding this weekend, Fall Festival. It's actually the whole weekend. We will be there all weekend, set up at a booth to meet the public, just like we've been doing on our community events every third Thursday. We'll be there all weekend. We'll have a presence there, ready to meet and greet. Welcome you to come by and visit us, and anybody in the public to come by and visit us and meet our officers that are there and ask us questions.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Up next, City Engineer Ron May. We've got a few items.
Cold?
The first one, I guess I can set this up, is quotes to open the concrete work that was presented to us last month at the meeting from Cole Stephen, who's made the trip home this evening to be here to finish up the project. And Marissa Kim was also here with Cole for the summer to do their project. So this is kind of the first step in that to open bids for the concrete
Technically, proposals. The estimated level of the work does not require, per statute, does not require actual bids. We did invite 3 proposals. We received word from Schutte Excavating that their workload and the schedule for the work did not permit them the opportunity to bid. So we ended up, we ended up with 1 proposal for doing the work from De Guevara Contracting.
Cole, you know what documents are supposed to be in here?
You put it together.
This is a proposal form from Dave O'Mara, Contractor Incorporated. Does not state what time it was received.
It was received on Friday about 3 o'clock.
So I assume it was received timely.
It was.
This is the signed proposal form. This is Exhibit A, the proposal based upon the itemized project itemization. The total bid amount is $48,817. 48817. It does have the Form 96 as well as the bid bond, standard questionnaire for financial statement, liability insurance, and the non-collusion affidavit. This appears to be what we would normally consider a complete bid / proposal.
Remember what we had for an estimate for that project?
I want to say it was around 80. I'm not sure.
For the entire project?
I mean, for the portion of the work they're gonna do we remember? Yeah.
It was between 55 and 65.
Okay.
52,000.
Okay. That's what I just wanted to make sure. I was just trying to see how that compared to what we were estimating. Thanks.
Any further questions on the proposal or for Cole or the project?
I know we talked about it last month, but I don't remember where those funds were coming from to pay for that.
There's a line item in edit for community improvement projects that this would fit into well. And they're,
You want a motion to approve that bid then? Or proposal, Ron, sorry.
I would suggest that, assuming you care to approve that, you do it conditionally upon a more thorough review of the documents.
I'll make that motion.
here's what I would like in the motion, please. Since there are other pieces that go with this project, the games, the tables, the other items, that you approve it pending appropriate pricing on those items. That way, if that all comes back as way over budget, we're not stuck with this.
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposal pending a more thorough review and a conditional upon the pricing of the additional items in the budget to ensure that the pricing is favorable.
Perfect.
Second.
Got that, Amy? Great. Motion's been made by Jamie, second by Dee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Perfect. Cole, thank you for being here. Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
project. Ron?
Tell your mom hi.
Yeah. Okay, next item, City Hall bond proceed closeout.
So
Oh, sorry, I skipped one in my mind. Go ahead.
back when we started the City Hall project, we had I started to say long, I don't think it was a long list, but we had a list of things that we are uncertain that we could afford or not. So prior to the bid of the work, we tailored the remodel project to fit a safe budget. We did take out the bond, and we do still have some remaining funds on that bond, and we have a list of things that we would like to have included. One of them is the parking lot. We've gotten that fit into that budget. We have 3 remaining items. One is some gypsum board wall and glass work. One is some more modernized and improved signing for City Hall, and the other is some landscaping for City Hall. Pretty much currently our landscaping consists of grass, so we'd like to up that. I am asking for you approval to spend up to $70,000 with Scott Barnes Construction for the gypsum board or drywall work and glass work that we'd like to accomplish. Spend up to $30,000 with green signs for modernized signing, and finally to spend up to $25,000 in landscaping with Jackson Nurseries.
And that would round out our bond fund.
That would finish up the bond funds and pretty much our list of things that we had hoped to accomplish from the very beginning.
We'll make the motion for approval.
Real quick, the landscaping, I only saw a plan for like that front bed. Is there more to it than that?
Yes, there is some plan for the existing entrance, some plan for the area just beyond the drive-up window.
Oh, I see. The whole document didn't load before. Now I see.
Motion's been made by Rodney. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Dee. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, thanks for that, Ron. GIS truck?
Yes, we have been in the market for an additional vehicle for our GIS operation. When we moved it from the wastewater plant to City Hall, they don't really have a vehicle to use to be out gaining data. We received a quote from Hubler Ford, a quote from Fleetwood Chevy Buick. We invited a quote from Acra, did not receive one. So we have the two quotes before us this evening. Mayor, do you remember the delivery schedule for the Hubler quote?
I think it's yet this year.
The delivery schedule for Fleetwood is estimated to be 8 months, so not this year. The Hubler quote was $31,040, and the Fleetwood quote was $32,258.
Very similar vehicle, yeah, okay.
Yes, they're very similar. They're fairly basic, two-wheel drive, regular cab. I think they were both regular cab. When I talked to Acre, they said they no longer have a regular cab, everything's an extended or crew cab, but they didn't quote.
They're both half-ton?
Yes, both half-ton.
These are budgeted funds, obviously. Any other questions for Ron on that? If not,
I guess I'd make the motion, we approve the bid from Hubler Ford then based on cost and availability.
motion's been made by Jamie, second by Dee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the last one for the evening, Ron, is stormwater fee appeals.
So, as I'm sure you're aware, we have started our stormwater utility. In your meeting last month, you had 2 appeals. This month, we have 35 appeals.
So maybe just to help this conversation along a little bit, what I reviewed, it looked like we had several appeals that didn't even meet the requirements for an appeal based in the ordinance. And if it doesn't meet the requirement for the appeal based in the ordinance, then we probably shouldn't even be discussing it. So I'd make the motion that we deny those appeals because they don't meet the requirements in the ordinance. If there's an issue with the ordinance, that goes back to the council. The council should clean up the ordinance if that's an issue, or if we feel as a board that we'd like them to take a look at it, but they don't meet the requirements in the ordinance for an appeal.
Ron, do you know what the two, there are 2, correct?
There was one.
There are 2 items that this board can review.
And
The very last one in the packet, I know it, I'll get there.
so there are 2 things that can be appealed. There, in the ordinance, we have defined 4 classes of property. Classes 1 through 4. Class 1 is residential property. Residential property is automatically assessed 1 ERU. The class 2 is unimproved property. Unimproved property is automatically assessed a is assessed a third of an ERU or 0.33 ERUs. All residential property ends up with an assessed fee of $3.50 per month, and all unimproved properties automatically end up with an assessed fee of $1.16 per month. Third class is public right-of-way. It's assessed 0 ERUs, so 0 fees. And the fourth class is everything else. And it is assessed based on the number of ERUs, which is the impervious area of the parcel divided by 3,000 square feet. The other reason for appeal is that there was some miscalculation in the number of ERUs assessed a particular property. And in the information I had provided you late last week, we had reviewed every one of those. And of the 35, 34 were found to be in compliance with the ordinance. And the fourth one, or the 35th one, there is a discrepancy in the number of ERUs on that property, so it was my recommendation that you reduce their number of ERUs.
1940 North Montgomery Street, right?
Yes. It was the very last one on the list. Those are the only two items that the ordinance permits making an appeal. We do have a number of the applicants here before you this evening.
I mean, I guess my thought though on that is that the council approved the ordinance, not the Board of Works. And so the Board of Works can look at the appeal process that's defined in the ordinance. But we shouldn't be considering an appeal to, that's not allowed by ordinance. So,
I agree with that.
Your recommendation on the 34,
Was to deny the appeal.
because they either are in error in their assessment or that they're dislike with the ordinance.
My recommendation for denial was because, one, we found the class of the property to be correct, and two, we found the number of ERUs assessed to be correct for the ordinance.
I'm about to say, mine is Jamie and Ron, that we have the ordinance, it was approved by the council. If there is an error to correct in the ERUs for, that was assessed to a parcel, then we could make a judgment to change, but we're gonna follow the ordinance.
I guess I'd make a motion that we approve the appeal on 1940 North Montgomery Road to change the ERUs from 34.28 to the revised 29.43, which would change the monthly, well, we're basically changing the ERUs and then that determines the fee, so. I'd
It
make a
would
motion that-
reduce their monthly cost to
Right, yeah.
103.
So I'd make a motion that we approve that appeal to reduce the number of ERUs from 34.28 to 29.43.
Motion has been made by Jamie on that specific appeal to reduce.
I'll second that.
Second
And I
by
might
Dee.
clarify, that's appeal number 2022-38.
Yes, sorry.
Questions or comments?
Question. So we are, even though we did not make the ordinance, are we the correct organization to rule on the appeals?
Yes, by
ordinance.
if you will look, Dr. King, the portion of the ordinance there under section 8 says that the City of Greensburg Board of Public Works shall hold a public hearing and determine the outcome of the appeal.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on that? Motion has been made and seconded already. If not, all those in favor of that signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
So we haven't made a motion on the other 34 at this point.
Correct.
I would make the motion on the other 34 that based on the fact that they met the class that they were assigned and the number of ERUs were adequately and appropriately assessed, that we deny the appeal.
And those would be petitions 2022-3 through 2022-37.
Can I speak as a property owner?
That would be up to the board, if you want to allow comment on these or not.
It's fine.
Okay? Board, everybody else okay with that? Okay. Come on up and state your name for the record.
And if you could also please state which stormwater petition you are, which number you are.
She probably doesn't know that.
Okay.
I'm Shirley Pascal, good evening board. I have property at 20 Village Green, and I was assessed twice, $350 for a property with the same address, one with a house and one with a lot. And I thought the lot is inappropriately, I don't need to be charged double for the same address. And I was appealing that that lot should be included with the house and eliminated.
Do you have, is it two separate parcels, like in the tax
It
record?
is a separate parcel, I pay taxes on that, but the address is the same.
But if it's a separate parcel, then the second parcel, Ron, you correct me if I'm wrong, if it's unapproved, it's basically it's $1.16 a month, or if it's a parcel with a structure on it, it's basically $350 a month, and this is based on the parcel, not by really, right?
But it's not $1.16, it was $350.
There is an improvement on the second parcel. It's a small and an older shed, but it is an improvement.
That is not an improvement, that building goes with the other property, and it was built like in 1940, and it's not used. There's no facilities on there.
You know which number that was, Ron? I'm just trying to find it in here.
I can tell you.
You want this?
No, that's not going to be that helpful. It's this property here. Here. And that would be appeal number 2022-27. So it's the parcel outlined in the kind of robin's egg blue there.
But it is a separate parcel.
Yes.
What's the other parcel that, you're saying there's two that you're,
Yeah,
Before-
right next door to
what's
it, there's a house.
the one to the right on the picture here? On the,
It's to the right.
okay.
Is that outbuilding on its own parcel?
It appears to be on a property line.
And my point is with the same address, it shouldn't be charged double. If it was a different address, that would be different.
Your tax records on it indicate that you are taxed as in non-residential improvement on that parcel. That would be why it was deemed to have an improvement.
It's an improvement,
That's why it falls into this classification.
you know? I disagree with that too, but if you're just going with the record. But it's a double charge.
I might point out that information from the county website, Beacon, does not always have correct addresses. The city is the official keeper of addresses for property in the city. My expectation
the other address. Ever since we've owned it, it's always been, and all our information comes 20 Village Green, the same as the other property.
That comes from the city or from the county.
I don't know where it came from, but that's how the taxes are paid. So I don't know if it's city or county, but it's always been 20 Village Green. So two properties with the same address. I don't think it should be a double charge.
Back separately. I mean, I don't know the entire process, but I think there's a way you could go to the courthouse, the county, and try to combine the lots, correct? And
It would be an administrative subdivision
Right.
through the city's planning commission or the planning department. Or the shed could simply be removed and it would become an unimproved property.
But if you combine the lots, then it would just be the one
Yes,
charge for
that
the
is
entire
correct.
lot, right? So,
Yes.
and then you wouldn't have to move there's that option, or if you moved, like Ron was mentioning, if you moved the shed onto the other property, then that would be an unimproved property, and then it would be an additional bill of $116 a month versus the $350.
Correct.
But the way it sits now, it's $350 for each. But if you combine the lots into one property, then it would just be the one property being built.
So how would I go about that?
You've got it, what is it, it's the planning commission, is that?
No, actually, it would be an administrative subdivision, so you would hire a surveyor to develop a plat for combining the two. It eradicates the common lot line. And then Sarah, as our planning commission administrator, has the authority to sign off on that.
What does the ordinance say about what is considered an improvement?
It's not defined.
We would use the county tax records though, because an unimproved lot it has no improvements.
I would say that is so generally, you're gonna open an excessive can of worms if you try to define what an improvement is. It's, the county makes an assessment as to whether or not you have an improvement on your property. And if ma'am, if you feel that that is an inaccurate assessment as to that lot, I believe there is a process by which you can bring that to the attention of the county assessor, and they can determine whether or not that is or is not an improvement. There's an appeal process of anything that happens out in the county to assess your property. Additionally, as Ron mentioned, you can simply remove the shed. If it is no longer a viable piece of building that you use and you want to simply remove it, that negates the improvement. But as long as the county assessor calls it an improvement, I believe the city is bound to accept that assessment. Otherwise we invade the province of the county assessor who makes that call.
I really hardly say that's an improvement if it's been there since 1940. You know, it's just still exists there from then on.
And ma'am, you may have a very valid argument, but it's not this body that can help you. So the county assessor is the office that can determine if that is not an improvement. With the city of Greensburg, the Board of Works does not have the ability to change the assessment of your property.
So what you are charging is going on to the assessment, is that what you're saying?
It's a utility fee assessed by the city's utility office once each month.
But there's no utilities, nothing there.
But every parcel in the city is assessed a stormwater fee, and also parcels outside the city that receive city wastewater utility.
So there's no adjustment?
Not based on the way the ordinance reads, no. I think you'd have to go to the county assessor, like Chris mentioned, and get that changed to an unimproved lot, and then that could change that from the $350 a month to $1.16, or you could go down the other path, which Ron had mentioned, and maybe if you called Sarah and talked with Sarah, she could help you walk through those steps to what you need to do to combine the lots to make it one lot, and then it would change the assessment at that point.
There's a fine line there.
Thank you. Board, we have another request. Okay, come on up to.
My name's Bruce Vanderber. Appreciate you taking time to listen to me. I own property. There's about 3 acres. It's the Old Star Sale Barn. And my property sets 10 to 12 feet lower than city street. So my water does not run off into the storm sewers that we're discussing here. It goes straight to the creek. Now, if the city is laying claim to the creek as part of their storm sewer, then I have an issue of your creek running across my property through my buildings. I'm not sure, I'm not complaining. I got rental properties. I'm not complaining. Well, I'd like to complain, but there's a lot of things I complain about and nobody listens. But the residential property, you know, if you're doing it, okay, everybody, it's across the board. Everybody's getting the same bill in the same way, basically. Whether we think it's fair or not is another story. But with the property that I have here, like I said, my water does not run into your storm sewer. My water goes straight to the creek. We didn't used to have all that water coming down that creek until we started putting all the blacktop up on the north side of town, and it all runs. Where it's gonna go, it doesn't soak in like it used to, it runs, and then it floods houses and properties all the way down through there. The water.
Petition 2022-9.
The thing you was here because I didn't know what that
I know
was.
you didn't.
Like I said, my property does not run through your storm sewers, and it will not run through your storm sewers. You don't run it uphill. So mine is like $32 or $34 a month, I think. I don't think that's got logic to it. Yeah.
Any questions for Mr. Vanderberg?
Thank you.
So is this gonna be looked at? Is this gonna be thought about? Or is this gonna be, we're gonna take a vote and I go sit back down and nothing happens?
No, I think what we've done is, the reason the ordinance was put in place is because we know we have to make some improvements to manage the way we handle stormwater throughout the community.
Okay.
And then, so this is gonna help us to develop the ability to do those things, to help manage funds, right? And so, based on the way the ordinance is written, I don't believe that there's an exemption here for this, but I guess I've not physically seen that property when it rains, but I don't think that was actually part of the ordinance. Based on the way the ordinance is written, it's fairly assessed.
This has been a consistent application throughout the city.
The same principle that is being applied to upstream blacktop that you mentioned is being applied to you, because you still flow out through the city, through housing, past facilities. So it is a citywide assessment, and it's based on the number of impermeable square feet that each facility has.
Okay, so in figuring that measurement, you're figuring a certain amount of water coming off that property.
No, it is based on square feet of impermeable space per unit, and that's where the equivalent residential unit comes from. They took 200 individual homes across this city,
Residences, yes.
residences, 200 individual residences, averaged, they went through and mapped, GIS mapped every square foot of impermeable on those properties. That equates to an average. Then that average is multiplied up to the number of, and then they individually measured every non-residential parcel in the city. Every one of them was independently done. And then that's how your number was reached to. The number of square feet you had times the equivalent residential unit is how that number was reached to. So your specific parcel got an individual attention to how many square feet of hard surface you have on your property. That's how it's calculated.
Hard surface being,
Impervious surface is a better term.
what's impervious?
Won't take water.
Okay, I mow a lot of it, and is got grass coming up through it. And this water, I have a grass strip between the impervious surface and the creek. So the water slows down, the water sets, and then soaks in. It's not running off. It's not runoff, except what comes from the creek on the upper end. But it soaks in more so than it runs to. It doesn't run to the creek. You know, I think there's a difference here where I have no benefit in paying my $34 a month. I'm gaining nothing because you're not gonna stop any water that's on my property because it sifts to the creek. It does not run uphill through these storm sewers that we're wanting to put in, or whatever this is for. When I was told that this bill was for storm sewer water, I don't have that. I don't have that luxury there. I don't have a storm sewer for my water to run in. It's going straight to the creek and not going through any city utility parcels, pieces.
Well, arguably, you don't have it yet, because at the time, the system hasn't been fully designed, because part of the point of the stormwater utility is to determine whether or not, maybe, as you've mentioned, with the blacktop water that's running into your property, maybe you do need stormwater utility on your property. Maybe the city will be able to assist you in not having as much water on your property because the creek's being overrun. So the point of the utility ordinance is to assess across the entirety of the city property a fee in a uniform manner to be able to fund the development of a stormwater utility.
Okay, I had less water coming in before they run another tunnel under the railroad bridge because they want to alleviate these houses that were being flooded down here. So that dumps more water on me. I'm never going to get help in the position where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's a piece of property that's in low ground, and it's not high dollar property, but it works for what I need to work for until I get more water flooding, and then I can't leave something set down there because it will be flooded and run.
Unfortunately, Bruce, I think you're in a position where the way the ordinance is written, there's no specific exemption for property that falls into the category of your property. So there's no specific exemption that says if your property is all below the street level, then it's okay. So your property has to be assessed just like every other piece of property. So if the classification is right and the amount of ERUs based on the square footage of the property is right, that's how the number is derived. Your recourse after an appeal is, so you can either challenge one of those two things. You can either challenge the classification is wrong, which is kind of what the lady before you was challenging, that it shouldn't have been classified as a residential with an improvement because the building is really old. That's one method by which you can challenge the assessment. The other method is to say that the amount of ERUs is an inaccurate calculation. So unless you have one of the, and that's what Jamie's motion earlier was essentially getting to, which is unless you have one of those two things, you don't have a basis to challenge the fee as it was assessed under this ordinance. Now, you, as any other citizen, have the right to go to your elected representative who writes ordinances, which is not this body, but is the council, and say, we need to make a change to the ordinance. You know, maybe you need this specific Bruce Vandenberg exemption of all of my properties below the street level, and I got a creek that runs through it. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I have no idea how water runs. In fact, I will guarantee you have more knowledge on how water runs than I do. But as the ordinance is written, that's the situation that you're in. You can either appeal this one or you can appeal that one. If you can't appeal either one of them, then the fee stands as assessed.
Okay, then my next option is that when the next time the water floods through my buildings, then the city should have some responsibility there as to my problems that I'm facing, because there was stormwaters running through my buildings.
Well, and there is certainly a cause of action related to water runoff. There are people that specialize in water runoff, and there is a determination as to whether or not the water runoff is caused by something that is negligent. Water is what is legally considered to be a common enemy. So as long as the city is not doing something specifically related to directing water to your property, I think you will have a difficult time making that liability. However, you're free to sue a ham sandwich if you want. We don't care. That's how the law works. You can sue anybody you want, and I will give you, if you call my office, I will give you the name of multiple attorneys that you can contact to discuss that position, because I certainly think that is within your right.
Well, I'm disappointed, but,
Mr. Bay,
Yes, sir.
is part of the rating for the fee deal with the size of the building?
Only in that a building is impervious surface.
So if he reduced the size of the building, would his fee be a lot